Hey everyone. So I want to talk to you about a story that I have from my childhood. So this is all going to relate and connect to what's called your primary belief that is taught by Tony Robbins, who basically explains that there are questions that we internally ask ourselves, that we mentally ask ourselves over and over and over again. And these questions that we ask ourselves determine the focus that we have in our lives. So without noticing, it's very subconscious, without noticing what questions you're actually asking yourself questions, and these questions are determining your behaviors and determining the choices you make and the actions that you take. So a way to find this question, as was taught to me by Tony Robbins, is to go back, and I'm going to be recording a meditation to help you get to this place, but it's to go back into your past and try and find a time in your life where you experienced a big struggle, a big obstacle, or a time where you felt lost or experienced a little bit of hurt or pain. So I went back and back and back, and what I found was multiple experiences from my childhood, specifically in middle school. So when I was in middle school, I was really, really overweight. I was just very heavy, not the cleanest girl, not the cutest girl, and not with the most friends, that's for sure. And I was bullied every single day. I was constantly being harassed for the way that I looked. I was called Baby Beluga when I walked on the bus. I remember I had this blue jacket, and they would sing a Baby Beluga song. I was once actually locked in a closet for a long amount of time. I was tricked really into being locked into a closet. I was only actually in 4th grade, and I was invited to a middle school birthday party, and I thought I was going for 7 minutes in heaven for my first kiss, but in actuality they pushed me into a closet. I got locked in there. I stayed in there. And then this continued. And I'm not telling you this story because I want you to be sad. I'm telling you this story because this experience from my past, which created a question in my mind, actually turned into empowerment and upliftment in my future. But without acknowledging this time in my past, without feeling it and having an awareness around it and a consciousness around how it impacted my daily life in a negative and positive way, I couldn't overcome it, and I couldn't be of service the way that I am now. So I had this very hard time. I experienced harassment on so many levels. I was constantly being called fat. I was constantly being called gross and disgusting, and it really it got in my skin. It got in my heart. It got in my gut. It really stuck in my body for this long time. So I discovered these events. I already knew that they had impact on me, and I already knew that they were challenging for me. But what I hadn't done was asked myself what questions I asked to myself as a result of having these experiences. So what questions did I ask myself so that I wouldn't experience this pain anymore? What questions did I ask myself so that I could miss and go around this hard challenge that I experienced as a child? So when I asked myself this question a couple of years ago, I discovered that I had created a question that would keep me safe from harm. And that question was, are you ready for this? That question was, how can I be thin enough to be loved? How can I be thin enough to be loved? So this is a question I found in my subconscious that I was asking myself, that drove all of my behaviors and all of my relationships, all of my actions, all based upon how can I keep myself safe from not being called fat as I did when I was a child. What came about from this question, how can I be thin enough to be loved, was an eating disorder, which I spent many, many years trying to get to the other side of. Actually, I didn't even know I had an eating disorder. I thought that I was doing the right thing. Finally, I was thin. Finally, people liked me. And I was in this illusion of living my primary question, which was, how can I be thin enough to be loved? Which was not clearly, if you really look at this, it really wasn't serving of me, because it brought me into great harm. It brought me benefits because it allowed me to connect to my body in a way that I needed to. It served me in just the path that I was on in that moment. I believe I really needed to go through all that to be where I am now. But asking myself, how can I be thin enough to be loved, brought in a whole boatload of characters into my story and challenges along the way. I brought in my relationship, I asked this question to myself, how can I be thin enough to be loved? So I was always asking myself, am I thin enough for this person? Does this person think I'm attractive? This person doesn't think I'm thin enough. Oh no. And my whole relationship would be about me, not about them, not how can I uplift this person? How can I uplift myself so that I can uplift this person? How can I enjoy this person? How can I have fun with this person? No, not at all. It was, is he looking at another woman? He likes her because she's thin. He doesn't even like me anymore because I ate extra potato chips last night. Everything that I did was centered around this primary question. And I was always asking myself, how can I be thin enough to be loved? But I didn't know that I was asking myself this question. I had no idea, because no one had ever said this to me that I'm telling you now. The way to discover your primary question is to first just start to look at your subconscious stream, or the thoughts that arise in your head. What thoughts are arising over and over and over and over in your head? Can you write them down? Can you remember them? Especially when you're going through a struggle, or when you're going through a little bit of an obstacle. Your obstacle could be, I don't know, entering a new relationship or applying to a new job. Am I going to be good enough for this? Is a good example of primary question. Instead of saying, am I going to be good enough for this, which kind of implies that you won't be, you could say, how can I bring my best self to the table right now? So we've got this primary question, and often it's disempowering because it comes from a disempowering moment in our lives, and that's okay. We just have to discover it and then rewrite our primary question. So my primary question was, how can I be thin enough to be loved? That didn't work out for me. It sent me into eating disorder recovery. It ruined all of my relationships. It sent me into deep darkness. It sent me into a lot of recovery. It brought me where I am today, which is beautiful, because my new primary question was, how can I be the epitome of self-love? Because what I was seeking was external validation, external love. How can I be thin enough to be loved meant that I needed love from the outside, and that I needed to be thin to get love from the outside, which is total BS. You don't need to be any way to get love from the outside except for fully and completely yourself, in every way yourself. So I chose to find this question, how can I be the epitome of self-love? And what does that bring me? It brings me in every moment an opportunity to love myself and to get self-love from within instead of an external need for love from my parents or from my partners or from my friends or from anybody. It all comes from me. Knowing that I have this deep, fulfilling self-love means that in any situation I'm in, I can at least depend upon my strength and my security to be in that state of love. So in any situation I'm in, I'm empowered now with how can I be the epitome of self-love. It also allows me to serve others in a higher way. Asking myself, how can I be thin enough to be loved, serves nobody. It serves nobody. I might have helped people in certain ways through teaching yoga and through teaching fitness. I definitely did. There was definitely empowerment in that. But in a deeper way, there were things that were unhealed. And I could only help to where I was at. So now I'm in a totally new place, and there's just a new space to enter now, which is really exciting. And I'm going to keep looking at this primary question, and it's always going to change. Today I ask myself, how can I be the epitome of self-love? Is there another question that's arising in me now? And it's, how can I be my most intuitive self so that I can help others deepen their journey in their own self-love? So this is all I'm going to say for now. I'm going to close out this video, and I'm going to do another video, which will be a meditation on finding the primary question, which should be fun. So stay tuned and let me know if you have any questions. I hope you have a really, really wonderful day. And for my Moonology people who are in the 4-week manifestation program, I really hope this serves you. Okay, see you soon.